I want to know just who you say I am, and your life will be changed. You believe or condemn. I want to know. Oh, I want to know.
Welcome to the DMF podcast, where you'll find great conversations with interesting people who have been called to serve. We'll meet impactful charities, dive deep into pressing health topics, and learn from servant leaders working to see, be, and spread light. At the end of each episode, we hope you're inspired to realize your own unlimited potential to change the world for the better. Join us as we work to create a region of the healthiest, most purpose-driven people on the planet. Welcome to the DMF Podcast's Lead with Light series, hosted by me, Pastor Devlyn Brooks, the CEO of Churches United. In the Lead with Light series, we explore the program's curriculum, talking with vibrant leaders who are demonstrating the very principles we're teaching, and introducing you to a variety of opportunities to take advantage of this dynamic leadership program. And in this episode, we visited with Todd Holdman, a software engineer by trade and a musician by heart, whose faith journey 10 years ago, after the passing of his father, upended both his notion of work and life. He learned through that experience that becoming the Todd God called him to be was recognizing that his spiritual journey included his professional life and personal life, and that it was all, quote unquote, one thing. At home at night, he scoured for inspiration from some of his favorite mystic faith writers. But by day, he fumbled through his initial days as a new manager without the skills and knowledge about how to be better. It was then that Todd realized that leadership was less about striving and strategizing and more about, quote unquote, leveling up as a person and waiting for new opportunities to come to him. He found a bridge between those two worlds that is bringing him peace and more joy throughout all of his life. Let's find out why Todd believes that leaning into integration, his word he introduced me to, has helped him become a better husband and father, better manager, better musician, and a better human. Let's dig in. Well, welcome, Todd. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Devlyn.
So, full disclosure, we have history.
True.
Is that safe to say?
That is fair.
Would you do me the honor of introducing yourself and telling folks how we know each other?
So, Rev Dev first came on my radar at a baccalaureate service in a small church outside of Colfax, and you just lit up, and it's like there's someone that I noticed. And I think I next ran into you probably at my sister-in-law's family's church in Wolverton, where I got to hear you speak, and I believe my band played. And that's what kind of started this whole thing. Devlyn then reached out at a coffee shop and had an idea for an evening of faith, and where it would feature his, as a published author, his writing, and as a songwriter, my songs. And we've done a couple of those, and we have one coming up. And ever since then, our lives have slowly kind of started upwardly spiraling together. I'll put it that way.
That's beautiful. I like that. It's very poetic. That's going to be a song lyric someday. So thank you. I consider you one of my dearest friends, and I appreciate your time today. So as I pitched this episode to you, I pitched it to you from the standpoint that we've had conversations about your professional life, and we'll get there about why that's fascinating to me. But you've shared with me that kind of the traits that I see in you as a leader, they bleed from your professional life into your artistic life. Is that fair?
Very fair. Mm-hmm. It's all one thing.
Yeah. So I'm going to break every rule about storytelling on this episode because you're supposed to only stick with one story, right? But to me, this is one story.
Agreed.
Talk to us about your professional life, Todd.
Software engineer, but then started wanting to move up. And at the same time, as I was kind of running into that ceiling at work, my personal life was hitting a floor. My father had passed away. This is 10 years ago. And my spiritual life was sparked at that time, even though I didn't know it then. And so professionally, what has happened, I was almost split in two. At home, I was in a meditation chair, kind of scouring all of the mystics, right? Looking for something. I didn't know what. And I had this second life where I was at work, a programmer and a brand new manager, very bad at it, didn't know what it was, but knew that I was kind of wanting to do that. In one of the books in my library that I had picked up along the way, I came across Robert Greenleaf. He coined the phrase servant leadership, and he basically put out it's a booklet, calling servant leadership or servant, I can't remember the actual name. And that book was helpful, but it was actually the biography of Robert K. Greenleaf that gave me the green light to merge what I was finding on my meditation pillow with Christ and with peace, wholesomeness, and can merge that with work. Robert Greenleaf, for me, is that bridge between worlds. I won't spoil it for you, but if anyone is looking to lead, I can strongly recommend the biography of Robert K. Greenleaf, and because it's a great story of his whole arc of how he came to basically change a company from the inside, one conversation at a time. And the longer I'm now in management, I have my wins and losses, but my ship is slowly coming home to Robert Greenleaf's servant leadership, where it's a granite foundation that I can lean on and have confidence and love people fearlessly. And so that is where the business and the management and the leadership part came in.
So when we, years ago when we were talking about this, and you had mentioned the piece of growing into mentorship and finding that so fulfilling, kind of reigniting your professional career.
For sure.
If I don't want to speak your words, but I remember that conversation and you saying that this mentorship piece it brought you back. Like it gave you a taste for what it was that you love. Can you talk about that? That
is, all things will be made new. And so I was walking into the same building. I was working with the same people, but all things were new. Every conversation was an opportunity to share love and to walk with somebody for a little bit. It allowed me to fully engage at work because all it is relationships. And now that I've done this for a while, it's reflected back to me. One of my friends at work, Kevin Tranby, who worked there, I think almost 30 years, just retired. And he has the hugest heart, a wonderful person. And at his retirement party on the deck at Junkyard, he was giving a little thank you, and he just stopped and slowed down and said, well, first of all, I work at the greatest company in the world, FBS. It's employee-owned. Kevin said, take care of FBS, it will take care of you. And it was almost like an embrace. And it's like, thanks, Kevin. It gave me more permission to engage. Did that answer the question?
Yeah. Can you tell me, what was that, maybe for lack of a better term, what was that metamorphosis for you like? Like, what was the catalyst to start sending you down this mentorship role? And, I mean, was this a quick tumble, or was this, I mean...
No, they're chapters, right? Like, yeah. And I'll just tell you about one. The day I started at the same time as another developer named Eric. And so I would always kind of compare myself with Eric. And boy, was that a mistake. Eric was brilliant. And he loved people. And he was quirky. And he was into engineering. And he was into pipe organs. And he was just all over the place. Well, eventually we hired his brother, Evan, a younger brother, who I managed, I mean, still do. And I'm now realizing I don't know if I should be using names.
I think we're fine. I mean,
okay. Apologies to anyone if I get it wrong, but no. Eric committed suicide, and the whole company mourned his loss because he had this way of making me feel like he knew me and I was his best friend. But then after he died, we all realized, he did that to everybody. We all felt that way. He knew about me and my music and my philosophy, all my little quirks, and he was so interested. And so Evan,
take your time,
was probably a bit lost. And week by week, we kind of consoled each other. And now Evan, with his own chapter, struggled, rebuilt, and now flourishes. He succeeds. He's wonderful at what he does. And he's lighter, and he's peaceful, and he's confident. And so that chapter is huge.
So what did you learn out of that? Like, is that the piece that came back and you said, I want to model my leadership after Eric? Or
no?
Like, what was that? How did that help you in your trajectory?
Yeah, what Evan was teaching me was to allow yourself to have a friend and to be a friend. At work, we struggle with this boundary that isn't there, where it's my work friend. So we're only so close, and we only talk about so much, and I don't want to tangle work and business or work and personal. What Evan taught me was, no, be a friend. I needed him, he needed me. Ignore work. Just be there for each other. And for me, it was very scary. It was a vulnerability I didn't even know I was afraid of, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't know I was supposed to have work for, real friends. And so with that, I learned to basically open myself. And there's very rare is there a off button, I'll give people there's no fear because I get so much more than I would ever be called upon to give.
So, Holy Spirit moment here. Pure chills. So, literally 24 hours ago, I was having coffee with another colleague. We were talking about another event that I'm doing later as a speaking gig in October. And she looked at me and she said, contrary to what we're all taught, Devlyn, you have no boundaries. And she said, that's what amazes me about you is that you are the same person when you walk into the church or when you walk into Churches United or when I read your writing, you don't transition. And sometimes you need other people to hold up a mirror for yourself, right? Because to me, it's just me. And what I think you and I have talked about this before. There was a period in my life when I was going through seminary where I finally just realized I needed to be Pastor Devlyn all of the time and not on nights and weekends, right?
Yeah.
And so we were having this conversation yesterday, and she said, you don't have any boundaries. Mm-hmm. And she found that fascinating. And so as you talk about that, it made me reflect about this is how we invite others into relationships, right? Because it's not just about our spouses, our kids, extended family. Like, as a faithful person, we're called into relationship with everyone. And yet there is this, well, I was going to say unwritten rule, but it's actually probably written somewhere that you don't form these relationships in work. And yet I look at you and how life-giving this has been for you.
Yeah.
So maybe we've uncovered something for ourselves and for others out there, like that. Part of leadership is not being afraid of that boundary.
I call that integration. My friend, I want to start by saying, first of all, that's why you and I think we can meet each other in this fearless place, And but my friend Heather Von Ruden one time explained it to me so clear. And we were sitting, running the till at like a high school basketball tournament. You know what I mean? Talk about a moment, And she's like, well, we need to be fully integrated. We need to be the same person all the time. And that takes true courage to reveal thyself, flaws and all, and love and all, no matter what is seen through the eyes, always the same, always coming back to peacefulness and love and support. And you're helping me learn that, just watching you work and being in your circle of influence.
Well, it's mutual. And so I think about it now, Todd, and baby in life, those are the people that we just intuitively are attracted to, right? The people that are open fearlessly. And I look around the people that I associate myself and surround myself, and I'm starting to see this very common trait about that integration. I love that word.
Integrated, yeah. Yeah, my friend Heather's brilliant. She can pick out very wonderful people almost on sight. It's just amazing how and then she kind of brings them together. And I think she's very integrated.
So bringing this back to your workplace, was this a development in you that was intentional? Was it happening under the surface and one day there was an epiphany for you? Like, what was that journey?
Very rocky. Still happening. As I peel back layers of false things of my personality. I learned a great lesson. I kind of went in the side door as a manager because someone needed to kind of wrangle some things with our group of developers. And I had this greed where it's like, I could move up here if I go volunteer. And it worked. I did this. And careful what you wish for. And so I did it really ham-handedly at first, and really I would never change it, right? Because it was a lesson. But now I get a coach. If you want a promotion, because you think you need it versus because you're being that promoted person, you'll never be fulfilled. And I got to live that out firsthand. And so things like that where I have some missteps, right? And I also really struggle with trying to do all the things. I still code. I love it. And I still project manage. And I also just manage, But now I'm much more integrated. And so the work's always the same. There's never a hat. And so now it's very rocky. My inner turmoil goes in cycles, as my wife calls it. And I have the world's greatest wife for me, she supports me and understands what's going on a little bit. And so when the turbulence comes, as I'm shedding personality, false things, she knows to listen to me, but it's probably going to change in a couple of days when I get through whatever I'm working on. Yeah. And so, no, it has not been smooth. It still isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The conversation I was having yesterday, my friend looked at me and she says, but don't you ever fall flat on your face? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. But I think dispelling that fear of falling on your face is really important.
Yes.
Like, some of my most galvanizing teaching moments have come from my most spectacular fails.
Yes.
And yet I think we're conditioned to fear that, right? We're conditioned that it's supposed to be this perfect trajectory towards perfection, and that's what we celebrate. And wrongly so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there is no, my friend James Walsh would tell me, there is no there. And what he meant was the grass is greener on the other side. It's like, no, there's no there. It's only here now. And so if you want to level up at work, start with some self-talk. I am a wonderful manager. I am a wonderful employee. I am serving my coworkers. And then something will happen where you'll start being that version, right, of a higher self, more of a servant. And then the world will react to you as opposed to you trying to wrangle the world in some way. And so there's no there. Just be here and be the best version of you as you can, and be very forgiving of yourself when you've fallen down, because you'll get back up.
Yeah. You've led me to my next question. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to think about it, but I want to know how this manifests itself in a real world setting for you at work. Like how specifically do you take this attitude into your management of people, right? And I'm going to give you a second to think about that, because I want to share this with you. If we rewind a little bit, if we hit that rewind button on our podcast here, when you talked about if you're looking for that promotion out of greed or self-service, like you aren't ready for it.
Correct.
I'm paraphrasing, right? Mm-hmm. You triggered something into me, because this is a true story. The last job I applied for was in 2007.
Oh my God.
Every professional role I've had since then is because someone has come to me and said, will you take this role?
Yeah.
And it didn't dawn on me that literally the last time that I applied for a position was in 2007.
Right.
So you're right. I think from the standpoint that if you're preparing yourself for those roles, they will find you. That's
right. You'll attract them, just like you and I have attracted each other when we're ready. Yep.
That's mind-blowing.
It's the same stuff that all the wisdom traditions teach. And Jesus tried so hard to tell us, choose this day. Look at inner things, not outer, and we have a great authority to set living like this. We have a good, strong foundation to set that on in Him.
Thank you for bringing it back to faith, too. I love that. So I hope you had a chance to think about it. How do you manifest this attitude as a manager and help encourage other people into this fearlessness, but B, make an environment in which people feel comfortable doing that? Yeah,
so there's a couple of, let's call them real world anchors I like to tie my stuff to. One is a study by Google, probably about 8 years ago now, and it was on the efficacy of teams. And so they did all this research. What if we have one rocket scientist type engineer, and then another junior engineer, and then an HR, scrambled the things. What if we have all geniuses? What if we have no geniuses? And what they came back with is that the most efficient, highly performing team, only one thing matters: psychological safety. This paper is quoted all the time at talks by people, project managers or whatever.
So regardless of the makeup of the team, the thing that matters is
psychological safety, because a group of people are smarter than any one person, but that genius or creativity and intelligence cannot surface if anyone is not feeling psychologically safe. If we learn to listen, the person, our neighbor at the table, will give us the exact thing we need to hear. And so that's one. I always remind people, psychological safety. And so if I detect that someone is not comfortable, I will address it with them and being like, are you feeling like you're included? And, let's make sure. And so that's a huge one. The other one is don't ever care about results. And this one is just, it's so freeing. Anything that happens because of our effort is really out of our hands. And so just be psychologically safe, do your best in the moment, and do not be afraid of the results. The results follow the action. And it comes back to the be here now, right? There's no there. So be working hard and lovingly now, and the results will speak for themselves. Just like the promotion, you can't go chase profits. You attract it by being healthy, loving, uplifting, and then that will then signal others that are ready for that type of energy, we'll call it, or light.
That's well accepted at FBS?
That's why I said I work at the world's greatest company. They let me be me. I made a ton of missteps, and they have been so graceful and forgiving to allow me to do my thing.
So this sounds heavenly to me, right? Because that's the type of workplace that I hope that in my leadership roles I've created too. Maybe I'll hear from people I've led in the past after this. They listen to this and maybe they will disagree. But in my head, I think that's what I'm. But I think this is probably kind of a frightful thought for a lot of other businesses out there who measure by productivity, right? Who measure by some KPI, who measure by some measurement, whether it's a physical measurement or some. That's a mindset change.
Yeah, and of course, keep your metrics and always be aware of what. But that's in the past, right? Like, don't let that next uptick drive your work. Let the work and inspiration drive the work, and then watch the metrics. And if the metrics are going the wrong way, look at psychological safety. Look at Robert K. Greenleaf. And then things will improve. And it's happened enough times now that it's like, okay, I've got a pearl of great wisdom that I don't have to question anymore.
So, for those listening to this and maybe they've been in a place where they're struggling too, and they're thinking maybe this is an aha moment for them, outside of, a suggested author that we can give them, but how do you invite them down this path, right? Where do they start? How do they start to shed this fear? How do they identify, what? I do want to change how it is that in my professional life I'm portraying myself and how I'm accepting others.
It happens naturally. It's a human condition. As a species, God has a plan for us, and we're leveling up, and that's painful. And so don't worry, you don't have to go looking for it outside. But what you do is you look inside. What's stopping me from being peaceful this morning? Oh, well, I yelled at my wife. Oh, well, why did you do that? and start praying and meditating and breathing and start fixing the little things that are taking our attention. Our attention is our most powerful thing. What a human being focuses on flourishes. Quantum physics teaches us this. The Bible teaches us this. And so start just tracking your attention, where it's like, well, I've been scrolling for an hour this morning and now I feel anxious. And it's, oh, okay. Well, how about you put your attention on some chamomile tea and maybe your stomach while you breathe for 10 minutes, and then let's see how you feel. And so when you start doing that, you start to build a center of gravity of peace. And then the rest happens naturally. You start to unpeel the onion layers, right? Where it's, I had to heal my marriage, I had to heal my children, I had to heal my brother, I had to heal, and it's all you, right? It's always you. And I'm pointing at myself, like it's always me, right? If I'm having a conflict with somebody, it's because I have some sort of weird fear that they're pressing my button. And so that's a big flag to me to like, all right, I have to let some part of my personality go. And so start to use as you're on your journey, start to use all of the pain points as lessons, be grateful for them, but also know there's nothing to fix out there. There's only to reveal and surrender inside.
If you haven't already, head to BeLight.org to sign up for the monthly Lead with Light newsletter. While you're there, you can also find past editions on the Lead with Light blog and register for upcoming trainings. Also, be on the lookout for the official Lead with Light book, which will be released later this year. Oh man, you took me so many places right now. No, I just have so many thoughts that are brimming. I love the advice to intrinsically, first of all, what you mentioned was kind of this internal piece and this internal work, right? Working on yourself to level up. And the interest, I think, in this charged Western society in which we live, in which we put business leaders on pedestals, right? I didn't hear you talking about getting up in the morning and running a marathon before work, or pumping iron, or, getting that additional degree, or any of those things that we generally associate with bettering ourselves in our professional lives. You went immediately towards turning inward,
right,
and working there first.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, there's no there. You can... just like I did, chase all the titles and all the money, and it's not there. There's nothing there. It's just our attention and our consciousness and our love and our peace. That's always here if we allow it.
Yeah. And if you're trying to fill that space with these other things, yes, there's the inner conflict, right?
Right. You're not integrated. A part of you still wants to be vice president, where most of you just wants to be happy.
Yeah. So I promised we were going to get to this other piece, because this is why I've wanted to do this interview for so long. Yeah. Before we leave your professional world, like, what's that one nugget that you can leave with our listeners to say, this is where you start. This is how this process begins?
Well, if you're listening to this, it's begun. There's something out there. There's a reason people keep coming to buildings of faith and give money. There's a reason people love music and art. I had to open myself just a crack when I was so broken before I checked out of this place and said, and gave an honest Hail Mary and asked God, if you're here, you better intercede, because I won't be here. Mm-hmm. And that's how you start.
That's nice.
Just a little faith.
Yeah. Oh, little faith. Drop that mustard seed. Right?
That's right.
That's not a little nugget, my friend. You just dropped the whole truth right there.
I don't know how to shrink wrap it anymore.
No, beautiful. Bring yourself. That's why you're here. So we're going to transition. We're going to make a bridge. See what I did there?
Yeah.
We're going to make a bridge. You know that music is an obsession of mine. We are on opposite ends of the spectrum of talent. But one of the things that we've bonded over so intimately in the last couple of years was this expression of art. And you mentioned earlier, we do these shows together in which it's a storytelling evening through song and through word, right? The two of us, faith-based. When I sat you down and asked, okay, could be two different podcasts here, and I'm struggling because I want to talk about both. And you looked at me very honestly and you said, well, they're connected. Mm-hmm. So take us from that professional life to the bridge of your artistic life that I am so fascinated with.
Yeah. So at that time I mentioned about, let's call it the long, dark night of the soul, when my dad had passed and I was lost. The one thing that I coveted was my musical talent. I've been playing in bands since I was 15. I'm 50 now. And that's the one thing I was never, ever turning over to God. I did not like Christian music. I thought it was hokey, ham-fisted, over the top, and not in any way authentic. But when I did open that crack, right, the songs started coming, and there were new songs. And this was, I'm trying to talk fast because keep it on point, but basically I had to learn to be unafraid to tell the truth. And when I started to do that in songwriting, 3 songs would come to me at a time and simmer, and one would finish and another one would pop in. And my local community, my friend Pastor Devlyn would ask me to sing a song for church, and I would write one on the theme, and it would be there for me. And so at the same time, because this is all integrated of the past 10 years, I've been shedding fear and falsehoods about my music. And so now I'm going to take a slight, I want to take one quick detour here, or a segue here with, I get to play with people who don't necessarily maybe agree with all I'm saying, but understand what it is. And one of them is my friend Ian Fry. Ian and I and Heather are partners in something called Heathen's Music Lab. Ian is the greatest musician I have ever played with, and we teach, and you can come in and jam with bands. And my music and songs is a part of that. So the more that I open myself to love, then I'm allowed to not only sing those songs I was so scared of singing because what might someone think? Is he talking about God? But I am then get sent friends like Ian, where they're just mind-blowing talent and wonderful people. And it, just like you, Devlyn, our light starts to spiral upward together as we all work on our stuff. And so the music stuff's happening at the same time as the work stuff.
And what did that look like 10 years ago? Like, did you know that it was synonymous with each other, or did
No.
you have to fight, like in your rational head? There were two different things.
Yes,
right?
remember I said I was literally split in 2. I was actually split in 3. With the songwriter. I went through this phase, and I love this stuff. George Ivanovich Gurdjieff, oh my God, is my favorite mystic, and I encourage people to go read his stuff, or even his acolyte stuff. It's so out there, exciting. I think he was in the 20s in Europe, but he has this concept is like man is mechanical, and we don't even realize the different personalities. It takes an act of waking up, or Jesus would say of new birth, before you start to realize you're not all integrated. You've got an artist, you've got a manager in you, you've got, you know what I mean? And so, no, I had no idea any of this would eventually come together as much as it has, because now I'm able to be myself. I do want to talk about cigarettes for a moment, just in case someone needs to hear this, because I did. I was a secret smoker. Every couple months I'd buy a pack and I'd smoke 2, and then I'd rip up the cigarettes and I'd do it in shame. And what you resist persists. And so as I integrate, cigarettes come back. And so now, fine, I'm a smoker. That's what it is. Will it go away? I hope so.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna shame myself or resist it. Something is trying to get through that I need to deal with in my past and in my history. I think it has to do with how I see my singing voice and maybe how I see my, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so do not beat yourself up on this path when things go sideways. Take the little side route and explore some of the dark stuff. They call it shadow work in other traditions. And it's wonderfully freeing when you allow yourself to just be. And then you find out your wife doesn't leave you. She actually loves you more. Your kids don't think you're shameful. They actually see the pain and how hard that life is for you. Your friends don't think you're stupid. They just think, what, you know what I mean? Like, no one cares. And so just be free, and then you can move through these challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. Former smoker. And let me tell you, friends, if you've never smoked, giving up smoking is one of the most difficult things that I ever went through, right? Yeah. It's not only the physical addiction, it's all of the things that are tied to it. All of the metaphorical things that we tie to that too. And so yes, I mean, in today's society, smokers are pariahs to a certain extent, and we do shame them. And so I'm very grateful for you talking about that, because helping, each of us has that.
Yep.
Right?
Whatever it is.
Whatever that is. And mine is not the same as yours.
Right.
And so, no surprise here, right? Like, I am at a point in my life where I'm trying to figure out the connection between myself and food.
Yep, exactly.
Right. And very complicated, from a child who grew up in poverty to never knowing when they were going to eat next, to like it, in through a lot of my early struggles, food became one of the bright spots in a day. Right. And so I struggle with that now myself. My family has a history of addictions, and rather than alcohol or drugs as some of my siblings, mine's food. Right.
Yep. So
all of this is part of us leveling up into this conversation that we're having. Mm-hmm. That's, if you ever think you're going to be successful in your professional life, this is the stuff you've got to work through, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In any aspect of your life. Yeah.
So the conversation that we had and that led from your professional life into art, you've shared with me that you started to get back into it. You started to write songs again, because you had, I don't know if you cold turkey quit, but for a while in your life, music wasn't as important.
Yeah, for sure. And I had kids. I have kids, of course. And so that definitely took me out of the game, but also in the headspace. I left a super fun band in Minneapolis called Anchorhead. We have 2 records on Spotify if you want to go check it out. And those guys are my brothers. But I followed my wife home, and I didn't do it kicking and screaming. I was like, I'm kind of done. I don't know if I could have said that then, but looking back, it's like, I was ready I was ready to take a break from the bars, And so I didn't know what that looked like. I started another band with my friend Shipley here. And so some kind of fits and starts, along the way. But then when I turned it over and just said, look, if you gave me any talent, And if you want any return in your investment, you're going to have to do something. Because I tried and nothing worked.
I mean, you're talking to God here. That's what you're intimating. That was your conversation.
I was
with
like,
God.
my little man effort failed. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
So if you got something more in mind, figure it out. And he did.
Yeah. I love how you handed it back.
Yeah.
Right?
That was so hard. It was so hard at the time. I hated myself, for weird head reasons. We get in our heads. None of it's real. We just create it, stories.
Yeah. And so even since you and I have befriended each other, I've seen your intentionality about your art grow exponentially. And almost every conversation we have now, somewhere there's a piece about it, art and your music, and like talk about that arc, like at the beginning of this, finding God come back into it, and where you are now. Yeah,
a great example was because I'm learning this lesson right now, Dev, like about how important music is. We have a band called Volunteer Corn. And it's Heather and Ian, and then my friend Chad Olvin, who you've met, which I wish everyone could have a friend like Chad. He's so talented and he can do everything, And so we got asked to play at a fundraiser recently, and it could have been a very monotonous fundraiser. And we were supposed to play for 30 minutes while they were eating. You know what I mean? That could have been it. But we brought ourselves to it. And 30 minutes were up, and they're like, someone would walk by, and it's like, keep it going. It's like, okay. So we kept going, and we got more into it so that there was no audience, right? We were just playing as friends. 45 minutes, an hour, keep going. I think we played for almost 2 hours. And they weren't watching us, right? Like, they weren't like, oh, this band's great. They were visiting, and they were laughing, and they were mingling. And so music communicates on an emotional level. And so I'm now realizing how powerful that is. People don't need to even know we're playing, but if the music is there and their heart is lifted, they'll have a better conversation with whoever they're talking about. And I'm learning to buy into that. And it's like, music's fantastic. We all love it. Two of my favorites who can unite are Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson. No one can unite the right and the left like those two artists. Everybody loves both of them. And you know what I mean? And so that,
Amen.
Who else can do that? But those two, and they do it, they walk the razor's edge between what have logical thought, right? Because half of us feel this way, the other half feels the other way. And they split that right in the middle so that both sides can claim them as their own. And so we need to celebrate the power of those artists. And we do, of course, right? They're just cherished because of what they bring us.
They strike me as integrated people, too.
There you go.
Don't they?
Oh, my gosh.
They're so down to earth. They're
the same all the time.
Yeah. Right? The same.
Yeah.
Willie on stage to Willie off stage, Dolly on stage to Dolly off.
Flaws and all. And we end up celebrating those. Like, that's what God wants for us. He wants the whole picture. Bring your whole Dolly Parton, if you like dress it. You know what I mean? Just bring it all. He wants it all. Yeah.
So shameless plug.
Yeah.
You don't have to say this because I know you'll blush, but shameless plug, Volunteer Corn.
Yeah.
No regrets. Like I will share with our listeners, you have also played several of our fundraisers at Churches United, and the very first one that you played for us, I just told everybody, trust me, just trust me, and we booked you, and afterwards everybody came to me and like, who are these guys? And I'm like, well, that's my friend, first of all. So great. Shameless plug, but I love how you all bring yourselves, and the arrangements that you had to covers that you do, but then you also are not afraid to mix in original work too.
Yeah, that's a tie-in back to don't care about the results. For us, it's pure fun. We get to meet in Chad's shop. He redid it during COVID, and so it's like this perfect band cave out in the country. And we would start by playing, we probably played over 300 songs. I don't know how many, but we would just try it. Do you like Iggy Pop? Yeah, let's try that. Like the Pixies? Yep, try that. We weren't thinking as like, what's this band going to be? You know what I mean? Like, how are we going to get people to like this? It was more just like, I love this song. I love playing with you guys. Let's just focus on that. And we're still doing it. And we don't care if anybody likes us, you know. We don't do any marketing, but and so it allows us to be.
I'll do that for you.
Yeah, thanks, Dev. And so that type of vibe is what we're doing with that band and with this Heathens Music Lab. It's like, let's just come to the here and now, enjoy playing.
Yeah. So now that we've kind of set the table, describe then how you bring your genuine self and the same attitude to this that you're bringing at work, and tie that together for us.
Yeah, so some of my best friends are at work now. I love coming into work, and we're using work as kind of a framework for our friendship, you know. And for a long time on my whiteboard, I had a sentence that said, oh boy, I'm not going to be able to pull it out of my hat, but basically, take on all the consequences, right? You know what I mean? Don't push any buck. Don't push blame. Don't try to get out of something, but instead try to help it move forward. And it's very much like improvising in music. You have to be, Ian is teaching this to us, you have to be very open and very listening, you know, because when your friend plays something and goes somewhere, you got to follow and help them. And so at work, when I log on and I see 3 things I need to deal with, I don't put up any blocking, nothing. Like, oh, I'm too busy. Oh, I got the, you know, no. I look at the request, read it, you know, how can I help this person? It's like, oh, I need to, and usually, here's the big secret, is that it's usually delegation. There's nothing for me to do. All I need to do is go connect these 2 people in a very calm and peaceful way. And so that's how you do it at work. You remove all boundaries and all barriers. And it's like, oh, but I'm going to get too busy. Then tell your boss you're too busy, and they will help you out because you'll be doing so much work. Yeah.
Yes, they will. 2 quick things I want to just reiterate. A leader doesn't do everything, right?
Right.
That's a very dangerous path we go down.
That's right.
And it leads to burnout.
Yeah.
Secondly, for those raising your hand and actually genuinely saying, I need help, is critical to a team functioning well.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I think both of those are incorrect myths that we have built up in the business world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Western mind has gone quite crazy. It's hard to succeed in that paradigm if you're stuck in it.
Yeah. I would love for you to play us something.
Yeah.
That's you and I work this way in our shows. I say, find something that is applicable to this moment, right? I would love for you to find something that is applicable to this moment, and then we'll chat before we say goodbye. So.
It's weird. A weird one is on my heart. I did not want to play it, but I will, because that's the one that I got a prompt. It's called I Want to Know. And the premise is we get to choose our thoughts, and we get to choose what we believe.
Yeah.
And so if we choose that we are healthy, then we are. If we choose that the world is loving, then it is. And so the question that Christ asks us is he wants to know who you think he is, and what you say and what you believe will be true. And it's the same at work. If I say I'm a wonderful manager, I am. If I say I'm a loving person, I am. If I say I'm a horrible manager, I am. And so that's the song I think that will fit today.
Yeah. Peter, who am I?
There it is.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, are we ready for the song now?
Please do. Bring it.
All right. And this one, I wasn't planning. I don't know why I'm giving a disclaimer. Never mind. I'll just play it. Fearlessly, right?
Yeah. Todd Holdman, my friends.
Call me a teacher. Call me a friend. Call me a preacher or a life imagined. Call me a savior, and it can be true. I can be anything, but you have to choose and solve me or flatter me. Yours is the only heart that ever mattered to me, and I wanna know just who you say I am. A heavenly creature or charlatan. I wanna know just who you say I am, and your life will be changed if you believe or condemn. I wanna know, oh, I wanna know. Wars will be waged, done in my name, as the world figures out who I am, why I came. Ooh, the world will judge me, sometimes harshly, sometimes lovingly, no matter much to me. But yours is the only heart that ever mattered to me. Now I wanna know just who you say I am. Heavenly creature, oh, a charlatan. I wanna know just who you say I am, and the world will be changed if you believe or you condemn. I wanna know, I wanna know. Some people will say, ooh, I just taught away. Maybe I lived my life without a single mistake. Ooh, others will say, oh, I'm just an example. They won't make me any less, but they won't make me any more. So I wanna know just who you say I am. A heavenly creature or a charlatan. I wanna know just who you say I am, and the world will be changed should you believe or condemn. I wanna know, I wanna know, I wanna know, I wanna know.
That's going to church, brother.
Thanks, God.
That's going to church. I got to tell you, like, even in the progression of our friendship and where I came into your life and your music playing, to see you grow and the confidence that you have now, it warms my heart. It grows my heart.
Thank you. You were one. There are certain people in my life who believed in me and believe in me, and you were probably one of the very first who saw me and took a chance. And for that, I am eternally grateful.
Well, we are brothers.
We are brothers.
We are the brothers. So as we close this out, what is your best invitation to those that are listening right now, and they know, and maybe they can't put words to it, but there's an internal struggle of they're not happy at work. Maybe they're not happy in their personal lives either. But how do we invite them into this fearlessness?
Like I said, if you're listening, you're on board. Small habits over time build excellent results. And so start with the little things. Just a little kinder communication, maybe. Don't overreact. Instead of reacting when you're upset or anxious, maybe sit down and meditate on it and respond. Don't react. There's a subtle difference there where you're responding from a place of peace as opposed to reacting to some turbulence in the outside world. But beyond that, I want to bring up Robert K. Greenleaf again. That really helped me for real.
Okay.
So check him out. He's a mystic, but it's crazy. I want to say one thing about him. He knew enough not to hide it in any religion. He had the wisdom to say, no, this is something that the business world needs, and so we're going to put it in words that everyone can feel safe saying.
Great tip. I shared with this before we began, so we end every one of these podcasts with lead with light. It is a DMF curriculum-based initiative, right? We want to generate more leaders who show their own light. LIGHT is an acronym. I'm just going to throw a couple out there and gut take, right? I don't, don't dwell on this.
Got it. Yeah.
But you and I talk about this quite a lot, and I think it's important to us. The G, galvanizing gratitude.
Yeah.
Talk to me about gratitude.
Be grateful for those hard-earned lessons. When they hurt, it's probably a bigger lesson for you to learn.
Amen. This one, I can't wait to hear from you because we talk about this a lot. I, in LIGHT, instilling purpose and meaning in all we do. That seems to sum up what we talked about today.
The gut take is when you move into management, they don't work for you, you work for them. And in that way, you'll serve their purposes and give them more quality at work.
You just flipped it, or the notion of leadership in our Western society on its head.
Yeah.
Servant leadership.
That's right.
We're going to end on this. H, honoring health, mind, body, and spirit. What's the importance?
Oh, I've been in yoga for 10 years. I meditate daily. It's all integrated. I don't know if I could give you that one's like so huge. God wants it all.
How many more hours do we want to go, right? Yeah. You can't be a whole person without honoring all three.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Shameless plug again. I'm going to draw this out of you. If people want to know more about you and your music, where can they go?
We'll be at Wolverton Church, August, the night?
13th.
August 13th, you can hear me play original music in a pastoral church 30 minutes from Fargo. Come on out and you can hear Devlyn and I talk. Beyond that, I'm working on recording stuff. It'll be here eventually. Yeah, you were at the studio. It'll come. It'll be here. Nothing to seek from me currently, other than Wolverton.
So very subversively, that's what I was going for. I wanted to draw out of you the news that you're recording.
Oh, that? I thought you meant the Wolverton.
No.
Yeah, and that's a whole other thing. I had tried to record in fits and starts in the past, and it never worked out until I was ready. And so now it's coming along just great. Yeah.
Until the next time, my friend, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being intimate. Thank you for being genuine. Thank you for being you.
Thanks, Dev.
As faithful people, we are all called into a relationship with everyone we meet, not just our loved ones, our friends, and maybe neighbors. No, this means everyone. Todd reminded me during our conversation that we are often guarded in our relationships with most people outside of that inner circle, and especially those at work, right? As I said in the interview, the traditional quote-unquote rule is to set rigid boundaries between you and those who surround you at work. But in the very act of creating those boundaries, we lose the opportunity to create deeper connections with others, a spiritual loss for us and them. Before I hear the pushback, yes, I know, there are most certainly critical boundaries we need to adhere to in some professions. I am a pastor after all. I get it. But those aren't the boundaries that Todd and I were discussing. We were talking about the artificial distance we create from others with whom we work, socialize, or play with. Boundaries that may initially make us feel safer, but actually contribute to our sense of loneliness. My conversation with Todd reminded me that the boldest thing that we can do is actually open up to others and make ourselves vulnerable, whether this is at work or at home. Todd shared that it was this epiphany 10 years ago, this spiritual growth journey of his, that allowed him to achieve, in his own words, integration in life, both personally and professionally. I say often in my writings that we are a people called to be human beings, not human doers. And part of being human at work is maintaining real, authentic relationships with others. This increases our integration between our personal lives and our professional lives, generating more joy in all aspects of who we are, and ultimately releasing the full potential that was given to us by our Creator. Thanks for joining Todd and I on this intense and joyous conversation. This is Pastor Devlyn Brooks of Churches United on the DMF podcast series, Lead with Light. Remember, we are all called to serve by seeing light, being light, and spreading light. Amen.